Dr. Manza goes back to work, but he has no desk and no office. And reports say the message to him is go back home. And police puzzle over the murder of a young boxer killed at home. Also, family demands to see their loved one a day after he was found buried in a shallow grave. Plus, the strange case of former Deputy PM Hugo Pat's Toyota Tacoma. It was sold on the cheap, but who gave the order? The former PM says it wasn't him. Plus, another look at enterprising New Belizean small business owners who sprung up after COVID cut them off. We've got details of these and all the stories in our newscast for tonight, Tuesday, 16th February 2021. Good evening. With your news, I'm Indra Craig.
Start your year with a win with Bellikin and its new promotion, Papa Stopper. Yes, sir. Every time you pop one stopper off our Bellikin, make sure you check under the crown. If you see one bottle shape, you win one free Bellikin. If you see one ball, you win $20. If you see one star, you win $100. And once you see one diamond, you win $1,000. Sure, Bellikin again, you know. Papa Stopper. When you pop a stopper off a Bellikin, check to see if you're a winner. You can collect your free beer or $20 cash prize at the store nearest to you. If you win $100 or $1,000, redeem your prize at the nearest B&B sales center.
Promotion is valid until Saturday, March 27th or while supplies last.
Papa Stopper!
Bellikin, the beer of Belize.
You've worked hard your whole life building your future, your family, your business, your home. And when you aren't around to safeguard your most beloved assets, you are at ease because you know they are protected by RF&G Insurance. For over 50 years, RF&G has been making sure business owners get back to work after an accident, and families get back into their homes quickly after a natural disaster. At RF&G, it's you who matters most. Visit us today and learn why it pays to get it right. RF&G Insurance, a Rowe Group company.
Electricity. We use it to power our appliances, charge our devices, and light our home. Let's all practice energy conservation at home and in the workplace. That's unplug chargers when not in use, lights off when not in the room, turn off fans and TVs. You can also look for Energy Star products and change lights to LEDs, which reduce energy cost. Let's all save energy.
If you have been directly exposed to the new coronavirus or have a history of travel in infected populated areas, it is recommended that you self-isolate. Identify a room to be used to self-isolate and limit contact with healthy persons. Keep away from older persons and persons who have medical conditions that affects their immune system. Monitor for any cold or flu-like symptom for up to 21 days and wash hands frequently with soap and water. If you become seriously ill, call your healthcare provider or 0800-664-2273 for guidance. A health and wellness message from your Ministry of Health.
In partnership with the British High Commission.
Looking for a paint which offers durability, fast drying action, easy application, long-lasting protection, and low odor, then Coronado is the brand you need. Choose from eggshell, flat, or semi-gloss finishes for your home's interior or exterior. You can also protect your deck from the harsh outdoor elements with Coronado Maxum deck and siding stain. We also have primers, masonry, and metal coatings for other projects around your home. Benny's Paint Center has the paint you need in the color and finish you want. Enjoy your newly painted home with long-lasting, durable Coronado paints. Available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Join us on Wednesday when our guest will be Dr. Fernando Cuellar, who will answer the question, will the third wave of COVID be worse? And the man who hopes to top the polls for the PUP in the upcoming City Council elections, Alan Pollard.
Director of Health Services Dr. Marvin Manzanero tested positive for COVID-19 in the first week of December 2020 and had been on sick leave dealing with some serious long-haul symptoms. That is until he showed up back at work at the Ministry of Health and Wellness on Monday of this week. But he had no office, no desk, and pretty much no job. Sources tell us that Manzanero was then left with nowhere else to sit but in the Secretary's pool for want of office space. Reports suggest that while the Minister Shabat, did not meet with him, higher-ups in the ministry told reportedly that he was basically facing a demotion, that either he can go and work with the HIV program, go take a job as a medical officer, or resign. We are also told that he was urged to go back on vacation. Reports say the attention of the union has been called to the matter. Public service regulations do not allow demotions without first going to the Public Service Commission, which is currently at a standoff with the government. We did reach out to Dr. Manzanero, who had no comment. His post has been filled since early December by acting DHS Melissa Diaz. Switching now to crime, tonight a family is missing their young son and brother. 22-year-old Jerome McLaren was fatally shot last night on Cleghorn Street just after 8 on a makeshift basketball court full of kids. Now, his loved ones and the police are puzzled as to why he was targeted. Courtney Menzies spoke with his mom, who was only yards away when her son was killed. Here's that story.
A mother is slowly coming to terms with the loss of her son after she watched his killer ride off on a motorcycle. 22-year-old Jerome McLaren was shot several times while he was playing basketball with the neighborhood kids. His mother, Sharon Kokum, sat on a bench outside her home with her own mother when the sound of gunshots interrupted an otherwise peaceful night.
I started to hear a gunshot, so I just threw myself back way this way. I lift up my foot to make no shot catch me. I never know that the person then they shoot, that my son. So I get up for see the who. And so I see the young man put the silver gun about this big in his pants. I never see the young man face because he have on a mask like fire to his whole neck. So I don't see face, I don't know how he look. And so I just see body structure. And so I jump up because my son let me play basketball on the rim a little bit before all of that happened. And I jump up, and when I see they put the gun in my pants, and so I holler. At this time, I'm on a cycle, so I tell her, you shot my son, you kill my son. But for him back turn to me, towards me, I know the see face back turn opposite for me, and I holler that, and I holler that 3 times, and he try start the cycle, but the cycle can't start. And so I holler at, you shot my son, you kill my son. And I run to my son. When I run, my son lay on top of the scooter, one yellow and white scooter. We park right there in the yard.
And as Kokom sat in the same spot this morning, she questioned why someone would take her son's life. Did he at any point confide in you that something was wrong, that somebody was after him?
No, ma'am. I could remember one time on Facebook, he may say he may come ask my daughter-in-law for make it block the make it take off the Facebook for now because somebody telling him I shot and kill her. And instantly delete it, but Jerome that somebody will not give trouble. You know, all young man and thing they if anybody come out there and if you doing anything they want to defend themselves, and that the kind of person Jerome.
Even the police are baffled at why McLaren was targeted.
What we have gathered so far is that McLaren was on the motorcycle when someone came from the direction of Claiborne Street and stopped right in front of the yard and walked way inside of the yard where he was sitting on the motorcycle and fired several shots at him, causing his fatal injuries.
Sir, is McLaren known to the police?
Yes, we have a few incidents with McLaren, but not to that extent that we suspect that he has been involved in other criminal activities.
Any possible motive in his murder?
Well, that is something that we were trying to establish from last night. We spoke to different persons that were there and also family members to inquire from them if at any time Mr. McLaren had been threatened or anything that he had gone through with anybody for the past days or maybe the past year, but up to now we cannot give you a definite motive as to why he was shot.
Kokom believes her son was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But despite what the motive was, Kokom has lost not only her son, but her helper and supporter.
Jerome, you know, everybody got their leeways, right? He like, you're that telling Jerome, he make up a face and thing, but Jerome, na me one of my son will take care of me. I want that person know we kill my son, that Jerome used to go to work, come home as a gay paid and hammer me. If I know there, Jerome put the money under my TV or give my oldest daughter, give mommy this when it come. Jerome will wash for me, Jerome will wash. I said, Jerome, don't touch me underwear. Jerome wash for that for me. Jerome get up, he cook, he sweep out, he go buy, he like run joke, but he can't take jokes. You know, that me Jerome, a happy person. Actually, that me a boxer. Jerome gonna represent Belize, you know. Jerome gonna represent Belize in a boxing.
When?
Well, Costa Rica, he gone like, what, about 2 years? 2 years ago.
She also had a message for her son's killer.
You take my Jerome for me. You take my son for me. And because you take my son for me, I claim you as my son in the name of Jesus Christ. So you, I want to pray for you just like I used to pray for Jerome. I pray for Jerome in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. And I want to pray for you and I want to pray that you give your life to Jesus Christ. And if the police find you, me personally want to come look for you. And you want to turn me down, but I don't want to stop. I want to come look for you till you accept to talk to me. Because I have nothing against you and I forgive you.
Courtney Menzies, 7 News.
McLaren had no children. He had previously worked at Brody's warehouse and was looking for a job before he was killed. And while a man was shot dead last, 2 persons survived the shooting this afternoon around 2:30. When police arrived on the scene at the corner of Plews and Bishop Street, they found 31-year-old Janine Lam with gunshot wounds to her buttocks and above her right ankle. The other victim, 38-year-old Eugene Thompson, was also injured in his neck, hand, calf, thigh and knee. According to initial reports, Thomas was fixing his bicycle on Plews Street when a clear-skinned man rode up to him and fired several shots, injuring both him and Lam. Both victims were admitted to the hospital in a stable condition. And while McLaren was shot in front of his mother, the mother of another man, Rafael Garrido, had spent almost 2 weeks in search of her son, only to find out that he had been murdered and buried in an off-road, shallow grave. Today, after a cancelled post-mortem, Garrido's family spoke to us to demand the release of his body. They hope to confirm the manner and time of his death, but they're also hoping to be allowed to properly mourn.
He'd been missing from his Ladyville home for almost 2 weeks, and yesterday, Rafael Garrido's body was found in a shallow grave just off the Hummingbird Highway near Belmopan. This afternoon, we spoke to his mother, Adriana, who shared the information she's been able to string together about the day her son died.
Well, I was informed that while they were coming back from Orange Walk, after whatever they were doing, that they were followed by a red car, whereby when they reached certain location on that highway, They stopped. My son came off that vehicle, went into the bushes with whatever with the weed that he had with him. He came off that vehicle, and when the young man that was with him went and came back, as he reached that area, he lifted the hood from the vehicle, and he was there waiting for my son, and a red car approached him where policeman was inside the vehicle. That was when they took him, the young man that was with my son, to the Hattieville police station. And so far, in no way they have never confirmed that yes, he was there. But within themselves they talk, and I overheard them saying yes, that the young man that was with my son was at the Hattieville police station. He was accompanied by another young man, which said person went along with me to the Ladyville police station where we made our report. That's how I know what transpired on the road and what actually happened to my son.
We got the police's take from Superintendent Alejandro Cobo in an impromptu press brief this morning.
Yesterday at about 9:30, police received information from some persons that were hunting in that area, and they visited an area on the Hummingbird Highway between miles 51 and 52, where on a shallow grave they found a decomposed body. The body had the clothing and appearance as to that person that was reported missing on the 3rd of February by the Garrido family from Ladyville. So far, a positive identification has not been done yet, but based on the clothing and some tattoos that the person has, it resembles that of Garrido.
Any information as to who Garrido was traveling with or where he was traveling to that could lead to how he ends up in the shallow grave near Belmapa?
Well, that is something that we are trying to establish from the very first day that our report was made. The person that accompanied him to Orange Walk, he was in police custody and he was questioned and he was later released due to the information that he had provided to us. No? But from since then, police have conducted searches along with the family on the Philip Goldson Highway, but it did not yield anything until yesterday that some persons that were hunting found the body there by Hummingbird Highway.
The family admits that Rafael was a drug dealer, but says that he wasn't violent and didn't deserve a violent death.
We know shame on the game and we know hide it. That is drugs game. But you could have never say Patrick gonna know about the house go shoot up. You could have never hear Patrick being a no war like there's a gun war on the street. None of that. When they find the body yesterday, they don't carry none of the family members on the scene. All of women, they rate that station. That foul play. Then tell we today, we under the postmortem. We don't ready, we don't line up vehicle to conquer. Everybody fire when you pick up a result. This they not leave it on money. Sorry for the word. You understand? We need to take care of him. What do they do? How come we can't see the body up to right now? You understand that the past full fire, but don't we see body not even a scar upon for him body. They say them weapon and chop and shatter because we see fire to where so and no scar was on him.
And while Kowo says that the identification of the body is yet to be confirmed, Adriana Sanker is convinced that it is her son.
It's my son. My son was missing from then. How come this body that they found is recent? This person they recently killed him because his body they couldn't even move it from that spot if he died from then. But where is the police? Where is the assistance? I'm a single mother and I'm still standing here strong for my son. Regardless of what, I will fight to the end. I need justice for my son.
Cherise Halso, 7 News.
The family has retained an activist to pursue their grievance in the case. And we take a break now. When we come back, we'll search through leaked emails to try and find out how former Deputy PM Hugo Pat got a model year luxury pickup for $25,000 cheaper than the price put up by the government. Don't go away.
And low order, then Coronado is the brand you need. Choose from eggshell, flat, or semi-gloss finishes for your home's interior or exterior. You can also protect your deck from the harsh outdoor elements with Coronado Maxum deck and siding stain. We also have primers, masonry and metal coatings for other projects around your home. Benny's Paint Center has the paint you need in the color and finish you want. Enjoy your newly painted home with long-lasting, durable Coronado paints. Available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Start your year with a win with Bellikin and its new promotion, Papa Stopper. Yes, sir. Every time you pop one stopper off our Bellikin, make sure you check under the crown. If you see one bottle shape, you win one free Bellikin. If you see one ball, you win $20. If you see one star, you win $100. And once you see one diamond, you win $1,000. Sure, Bellikin again, you know. Papa Stopper.
When you pop a stopper off a Bellikin, check to see if you're a winner. You can collect your free beer or $20 cash prize at the store nearest to you. If you win $100 or $1,000, redeem your prize at the nearest B&B sales center.
Promotion is valid until Saturday, March 27th or while supplies last.
Papa Stopper.
Bellikin, the beer of Belize.
You've worked hard your whole life building your future, your family, your business, your home. And when you aren't around to safeguard your most beloved assets, you are at ease because you know they are protected by RF&G Insurance. For over 50 years, RF&G has been making sure business owners get back to work after an accident, and families get back into their homes quickly after a natural disaster. At RF&G, it's you who matters most. Visit us today and learn why it pays to get it right. RF&G Insurance, a Rowe Group company.
Electricity. We use it to power our appliances, charge our devices, and light our home. Let's all practice energy conservation at home and in the workplace. That's unplug chargers when not in use, lights off when not in the room, turn off fans and TVs. You can also look for Energy Star products and change lights to LEDs, which reduce energy cost. Let's all save energy.
If you have been directly exposed to the new coronavirus or have a history of travel in infected populated areas, it is recommended that you self-isolate. Identify a room to be used to self-isolate and limit contact with healthy persons. Keep away from older persons and persons who have medical conditions that affects their immune system. Monitor for any cold or flu-like symptom for up to 21 days and wash hands frequently with soap and water. If you become seriously ill, call your healthcare provider or 0800-664-2273 for guidance. A health and wellness message from your Ministry of Health.
In partnership with the British High Commission.
Join us on Wednesday when our guest will be Dr. Fernando Cuellar, who will answer the question, will the third wave of COVID be worse? And the man who hopes to top the polls for the PUP in the upcoming City Council elections, Alan Holler.
We do these things without thinking, to keep our possessions safe. And yet, we think twice about doing this. Even though calling Crime Stoppers is an anonymous way to make our homes, schools, and communities safer, which helps to protect the people we care about. Call Crime Stoppers to anonymously report criminal activity in your area. By working together, we can make our Belize a safer place. This message is brought to you by Crime Stoppers Belize and this station.
Transfer program known as BCAT will be launched tomorrow, February 17th. The program comes as a form of monetary relief for those in a financial crunch. The applications for the program are completed over the last 7 months, and the countrywide selections are being done in 8 phases. Once they are enrolled in the program, 21,500 households will receive supplementary short-term emergency cash. The beneficiaries will get 3 payments of $300 every 2 months for a 6-month period. BCAT beneficiaries will be notified of their successful application and payment dates via text. Last night, we took you to different parts of the country for Nomination Day. In Orange Walk, Prime Minister John Bersenio was stumping for his hometown council. He also spoke about a request which he has made to the Indian government for a donation of COVID-19 vaccines. Last month, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi rolled out a vaccine friendship initiative in which his country is supplying other world nations with doses of the vaccines. It is being referred to internationally as vaccine diplomacy, and 2 consignments of those vaccines went to the island nations of Dominica and Barbados. Yesterday, Prime Minister Bersenio told our colleagues that his government is trying to source COVID-19 vaccines in an effort to protect frontline workers. He added that if teachers can be vaccinated, schools can start to safely reopen after nearly an entire year of being closed. Here are those comments.
At this time, what we did, we sent them a letter asking them that if they can help. And once they respond, which I believe they will respond, I think shortly, sometime soon, our foreign minister will probably get in touch with the foreign minister from India to see how we can move that process. And then after that, then if it is necessary, then I will speak with Prime Minister Modi to see how we can get some vaccines for Belize. I've said it, that we need to get vaccines first immediately for the first responders. We need to protect them because they are out there in the public looking after us. So we need to look after them. But our children haven't been in school for next month. It's going to be a year they've been out of school. And we need to see how we can get them back in school as quickly as possible. That's why I have to follow Rosanna, and I have to give Rosanna the credit. She was the one that said, he said, if you want to open the schools quickly and safely, I said, give the vaccines to the teachers so that then they would be able to go to the teachers, they could go to the schools and teach our children safely. And I am going to make that recommendation to the Ministry of Health, and also as a cabinet that we can discuss it. We need to open schools as quickly as possible. We are doing all sorts of things. We are meeting with different groups to see how we can get as many vaccines into Belize as quickly as we possibly can. The first amount, it is I think for 100,000 persons who gave under the COVID agreement through the UN. We are part of that through PAHO. We expect that those vaccines are going to come in by the middle of next month. There's another group that said that they're going to be donating 20,000 vaccines. Barbados is giving us 1,000 vaccines, which would be able to vaccinate 500 people. So we're getting them from all over, and we need to find how we could do it expeditiously.
The Prime Minister says that he's hoping for a response from the Indian government, which he anticipates will come soon. Tonight, a Mennonite family from Blue Creek Village in the Orange Walk district is angry and distrustful of the police department after they had a scary encounter with one of the specialized police units. Peter Dweck is a well-known rice farmer from the community, and last night he and other family members were working late on his rice fields. At around 7, his wife and other family members were driving supplies to him at the farm, but on the way there they saw a suspicious vehicle blocking their path. It turns out that this vehicle was a police mobile, but it was dark. Members of the Dweck family were scared that they might be criminals, so they took off and tried to escape from a party they thought could be kidnappers. Police set chase, and that's when their vehicle was damaged by cops who tried to stop them. The Dweck family claims that high-powered weapons were fired at them by the officers who tried to get them to stop. This afternoon, Peter Dweck told us in a telephone interview that police are at fault for the commotion, the damage to his property, and the psychological trauma experienced by his wife and children, simply because they did not flash their police lights to announce who they were. Here's how he explained why.
Then they continued going up the hill until they almost reached my mother's place. That is where a vehicle turned on its lights flashing, and then they started firing shots. And so that is when my son slowed down and came to a stop, and that's when they realized that it was police. And then the police came and they started treating them very unprofessionally. They threw my son to the ground, they kicked him in the back. And
no video me, Carl. No video me. No video me. Give me no video me.
It can be argued, well, you all misinterpreted a benign or a harmless situation, and your family in their unprovoked fright and confusion, they are the ones who crashed into the gate. They are the ones who brought damage upon your property.
The police did, absolutely, no question. Because they did everything without markings. They didn't have the lights on when they were following them. Okay, if they would have turned on their lights, my son would have slowed down immediately and stopped, but they never turned on the lights. They were coming in darkness behind them at high speed. We're talking high speed here, because my family was running for their life, because at the first entrance by the bridge, they thought that there was a kidnapping going on themselves from whoever was blocking the bridge.
No video me, Carl. No video me. No video me. Give me no video me.
We have no trust in the police anymore. That trust, they have betrayed that trust, and so the police should not expect for us to trust them in any way or form. And we call these people terrorists right now.
Dick says that he intends to make a formal complaint to the police about the alleged abuse and the way the officers handled the chase. He says he also has international links to make the case of abuse known. In its first day of public hearings, the Commission of Inquiry investigating the sale of government assets was kind of anticlimactic. The biggest thing unearthed so far is the sale of some very big pieces of furniture to the former Attorney General Michael Perry-Feed. But one sale that caught our attention was the one to Deputy PM Hugo Pat of his ministerial ride, a 2020 Toyota Tacoma that he or someone bought for far less than the suggested price. 7 News has obtained leaked emails that speak about one price, which should have been final, but learned in the hearings about another much lower price. Jules Vasquez has the story.
The 4th of November? there was a sale to Minister Hugo Pat of a 2020 Toyota Tacoma in running condition for $65,000.
This is a web version of that great 2020 Toyota Tacoma. It had been bought 10 months earlier by government for $90,000. The financial secretary wrote to the Prime Minister in November suggesting a price of $87,000, $210, which he said, quote, is high as the vehicle was only purchased in late January. And on November 2nd, the financial secretary wrote to the manager of the vehicle care unit, Roberto Vicente, saying, quote, I think we can begin to draft a letter of offer to Minister Pat at the price of $87,000, $210. But 2 days later, it was sold for $22,000 less, just $65,000 for a model year luxury pickup. But that is not what the former Prime Minister agreed to, though he did agree to the sale grudgingly.
I spoke to the DPM and I said, but you know the policy anyway. I thought that also as a special favor, I would agree.
What he agreed to was that price of $87,210.
What happened thereafter, though, was that the usual requirement from me that there be a customs valuation so that we could document that we were not selling for any undervalue did not happen.
The one for Hugo Pat, no, we did not get that value by customs. What we did there is because custom had said to us that since it's within the year, they would not value that vehicle, you know. And so what we at the ministry did, as it is with customs, we would look at 20% depreciation for the first year.
20% depreciation would have left it at $72,000, but it still went for $7,000 less than that. But who approved it? The former PM says it never came back to him.
Or whether there was some other reason, whether it just fell through the cracks. But that one did not come to me for my formal approval.
But the head of the vehicle care unit said he did agree.
And so he struggled, I must say that. He struggled with that bid. And I believe after much discussion, you know, he then indicated to me that he had a sale of that vehicle for Minister or Honorable Hugo Pat will go through.
But he didn't do it in writing. He did it orally.
I believe he sent me an email. I would have to look at it. I would have to look at it.
All right. The file you shared with me doesn't have anything on it. But you say you recollect an email.
Yes.
And while Vicente could not produce that email, he also could not account for the appearance that the seller of the vehicle also ended up as a person who bought it back.
But I flashed through this file again, and I can't find a receipt for the payment of the agreed price. You can't have a government receipt.
Oh, okay. What happened? They paid. It's a wire transfer.
Yes.
Yes. So there was no. We haven't gotten the receipt. If the receipt is not yet there, we can get that receipt for you.
But interestingly, it says a transfer from Mr. Emil Torres, who was the original person who sold it.
Huh?
The transfer, the bank transfer information that paid the government for it.
I'm not sure of that.
You're not sure?
No.
It wasn't the person who sold it buying it back, was it?
I would hope not. We don't go that far. We don't investigate that far.
Well, his name appears on the transfer for the payment to the government for the price.
Well, I would hope that he was not the one who bought the vehicle.
All right.
Okay. Possibly.
The commissioners are now reviewing a large box of files covering all known asset sales provided by the financial secretary. Hopefully at the next public hearing on February 26, we can find out who the final purchaser actually was. Last month, we told you about all those Ministry of Transport workers who were fired on the newly established George Price holiday. It's part of the Briceño government's house cleaning of open vote workers. And now that the dust has settled, we've been reliably informed that 55 employees were terminated from bus terminals countrywide. And while politically affiliated open vote workers are regularly purged by incoming administrations, they also have to be paid when they're sent home. And that's why one of those employees has since come forward to complain to 7 News that it's been almost 2 months and the government has failed to pay him and his other colleagues their severance packages. He's Othan Castillo, a former supervisor of the Corozal bus terminal, and he tells us that he has been working at the Transport Ministry for 8 years and 3 months. He says that ever since they were given their walking papers, their former superiors at the Transport Department kept offering them excuses as to why they can't get their money. Here's his telephone interview with us to complain about the continued violations of his rights under the labor laws.
We were terminated the day Charles Price's birthday. Well, actually, I was attacked like a week or two just after elections by Mr. Terzo Galvez, the Chief Transport Officer, with a recommendation for my dismissal to the CEO, which at that time, we didn't have a CEO at the moment. Since we were terminated so far, it has been a month to today's date, and we haven't received any payments from the ministry as yet. Some has received some part payments, but according to the labor laws, we should have been paid off 1 week after termination.
Was it a contract service? Were you on full staff, or was it like an open vote worker sort of relationship?
Well, we were all open vote workers. We were not. I wouldn't say it was a contract, because if they say that we were employed temporarily, after 8 years, I don't think that is temporary anymore.
So explain to us, how much money do you think they owe you that they have failed to pay you as yet?
Well, so far, from my calculations, it's a bit over 9,000 Belize dollars for the service that I had rendered for over the 8 years to the government of Belize.
Okay. And what has been your challenge in trying to collect that money, sir? Explain to us as clearly as you can the difficulties. Are they even recognizing that they owe you? Acknowledging, sorry.
Well, yes, they have acknowledged that they owe us the money, but every week it's a different story. First, they said that since we were terminated, we were what would the term be? Well, we were terminated out of the government system through the payrolls.
Okay.
So they were to pay us by payables. So we had to reapply to get back into the system through a vendor form, which is a standard procedure by government, right?
Understood. Which
they said it took a while to get us back into the system. Well, we understood all of that. Now, the calculations are straightforward as it is. And this is my second time that I have been terminated under the PUP government. And honestly, the first time it only took a week for me to get my benefits and my payments from the government of Belize. So this time around, it has been a uphill battle every week. It's the same story over and over. This week it will happen. Friday it will happen.
Castillo tells us that he and his colleagues are discussing the possibility of retaining attorneys to take their case to the Supreme Court. Othan Castillo and the other terminated open vote workers have a natural ally, the former Labour Commissioner Ivan Williams. If Williams hadn't stepped down to pursue his candidacy for the UDP in Stein Creek West, their complaints would have landed on his desk at the Labour Department. This afternoon, the defeated candidate told us why he thinks that these 55 employees have a strong case that they need to press at the Labour Department. Here's how he explained why in an interview.
My understanding from these employees that they were not given notice. They were given a letter terminating their employment. No notice. So the first issue that arises is the issue of your right to notice, and where notice is provided under Section 38(2), payment of the equivalent of wages for the notice period. Okay? So in this case, if somebody is there more than 5 years, they would have required 8 weeks pay to satisfy the breach of not giving notice. And why do you then not prepare? I mean, when I was there at the Labour Commission, I would tell the employer, but you know what you're going to do, so you prepared. You should have all of these people benefits already calculated, prepared, and along with the letter, there is this thing that you go. And as a matter of fact, with the government system, it's even easier because, you know, government, you register under the smart stream and your money can easily go into your account. Most people now go collect money over the counter, you go straight into your account. So it is something that, I don't know, people ought to have thought about this. And I mean, why do you have to wait? You know, it is very disrespectful. It is mean. It is, in my view, it is cold and heartless, man, to do that. My understanding is that it is going 2 months now. You could understand maybe a week or so because they don't have the calculations and they need to figure out things and this and that. But 2 months? No, man, it is high time that we do something for these people. And that's why when I was invited, I said, look, let me talk about it. And unless you could justify why you don't pay people right away, then the Labour Department, and this is why I'm concerned, the Labour Department, and I'm hoping that these people have already lodged their complaint to the Labour Department, because the Labour Department should post haste, make sure that people get at minimum their benefits that they are due. So something is not wrong. Something is wrong, and procedures is not being followed as I know it. Okay? Now you also have a situation where other entitlements comes into play. Apart from the notice, now you have what you call annual vacations. Okay? Persons are entitled to their annual vacations. And under the GWR, which is different from the Labour Act, it is usually 14 or 16 days vacation annually because it is, like I said, government workers regulation. So if there are people who are due outstanding vacation or accrued vacation, then that becomes a live issue too. They should calculate up to the date of the letter of termination your benefits in terms of your annual and average vacation. And then you have what you call severance pay / pension. I say severance pay because there are those who may not qualify for pension. Okay? And under the labor law, it talks about being there for 5 years or more, that you're entitled to at least a severance. Okay? And after 10 years, right, the severance changes. In 2011, there was significant amendment to increase that severance after 10 years from 1 week pay for each year of service to 2 weeks post 2011. Takes effect after 2011.
Williams tells us that based on the explanations provided by the new Minister of Transport and what he knows about the case, he thinks that these men also have a case for wrongful termination. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll visit with 2 more small Belizean businesses who rose up from the economic wreckage of the COVID crisis. Don't go away.
Looking for a paint which offers durability, fast-drying action, easy application, long-lasting protection, and low odor? Then Coronado is the brand you need. Choose from eggshell, flat, or semi-gloss finishes for your home's interior or exterior. You can also protect your deck from the harsh outdoor elements with Coronado Maxum deck and siding stain. We also have primers, masonry, and metal coatings for other projects around your home. Benny's Paint Center has the paint you need in the color and finish you want. Enjoy your newly painted home with long-lasting, durable Coronado paints. Available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Electricity. We use it to power our appliances, charge our devices, and light our home. Let's all practice energy conservation at home and in the workplace. That's unplug chargers when not in use, lights off when not in the room, turn off fans and TVs. You can also look for Energy Star products and change lights to LEDs, which reduce energy cost. Let's all save energy.
If you have been directly exposed to the new coronavirus or have a history of travel in infected populated areas, it is recommended that you self-isolate. Identify a room to be used to self-isolate and limit contact with healthy persons. Keep away from older persons and persons who have medical conditions that affects their immune system. Monitor for any cold or flu-like symptom for up to 21 days and wash hands frequently with soap and water. If you become seriously ill, call your healthcare provider or 0800-664-2273 for guidance. A health and wellness message from your Ministry of Health.
In partnership with the British High Commission.
Start your year with a win with Bellikin and its new promotion, Papa Stopper. Yes, sir. Every time you pop one stopper off our Bellikin, make sure you check under the crown. If you see one bottle shape, you win one free Bellikin. If you see one ball, you win $20. If you see one star, you win $100. And once you see one diamond, you win $1,000. Sure, Bellikin again, you know. Papa Stopper.
When you pop a stopper off a Bellikin, check to see if you're a winner. You can collect your free beer or $20 cash prize at the store nearest to you. If you win $100 or $1,000, redeem your prize at the nearest B&B sales center.
Promotion is valid until Saturday, March 27th or while supplies last.
Papa Stopper.
Bellikin, the beer of Belize.
You've worked hard your whole life building your future, your family, your business, your home. And when you aren't around to safeguard your most beloved assets, you are at ease because you know they are protected by RF&G Insurance. For over 50 years, RF&G has been making sure business owners get back to work after an accident, and families get back into their homes quickly after a natural disaster. At RF&G, it's you who matters most. Visit us today and learn why it pays to get it right. RF&G Insurance, a Road Group company.
Join us on Wednesday when our guest will be Dr. Fernando Cuellar, who will answer the question, will the third wave of COVID be worse? And the man who hopes to top the polls for the PUP in the upcoming City Council elections, Alan Pollard.
stop running around the house?
Right now, Dad.
Damn it, Brian! I told you stop it! Can't you hear me? Are you deaf? Or you just playing? Time out. Your life is stressful, and it is easy to lose your patience. When you feel this is about to happen, take a time out. Harsh words are verbal violence and can be very harmful. They are not forgotten. Offering alternatives and communicating with your child is the best way to build real respect. I'm sorry, Brian. That just had a rough day at work. Can you do something quiet?
Do you want a job?
That's more like it.
Are you kidding me? Mira lo que has hecho. Ahora sí te voy a mostrar. Time out. La mayoría del tiempo los niños no saben que están haciendo algo mal. Usando violencia solo les enseña que pegando es la única manera de solucionar las cosas. Esto solo empeorará la situación y dañará su relación. Tómese un tiempo y hable con sus hijos de lo que está bien y mal. Construyan una relación basada en entendimiento, respeto y amor. Lisani, sweetie, it's a very nice drawing, but you know you shouldn't draw on walls. You know how hard it is to keep the house clean. We will wash it off, and from now on, we will draw only on paper. ¿Entiendes?
Kadile sa Albert Iterlube.
Inita nomada, na bastante golida de Gabriel, asa talida de la escuela Abro Hatia. Afia na lo ni la mege dom.
Time out. Weri hali anigi beli habusa rogrigi awena mohaya hagamro duniwa irahia. Baro bada ayano haba hama bisanigu. Demele badugunile bide haba lida leredoroniwa hagamro duniwa irahia.
Last week, we showed you small Belizean businesses for all your Valentine's needs. Today, we continue our small business series with two more local entrepreneurs who have seen success in the months of COVID-19. Sangria Mia makes their own version of the popular wine-based drink with 3 flavors to choose from. Meanwhile, Naturally Belizean is a clothing company that reps the 501 proudly. Courtney Menzies spoke with the founders of both companies.
With COVID, you may have had to cancel your vacation to the beach. But with Sangria Mia, you get that tropical escape right from your home. Like many small Belizean businesses, this one was born out of the pandemic after the founder, Amira Pelayo, found herself with a new baby and a failing consultancy business. That's when she decided to use her sangria skills to venture into entrepreneurship.
In that time, it was really hard to actually,
generate some sort of income. And so I began to sit and I was thinking, you know, what else can I do? And during that time, never did I ever imagine that I would actually come in the kitchen to prepare something, to create something. And, you know, during that time, you know, a lot of my family members, they were like, and friends, they were like, you know, you're so good at making sangria. And I'm like, you know, that could potentially be some venture.
And Pelayo has never looked back. She said the product came naturally to her since she's been making sangria for years, something she was inspired to do since her parents were fruit and vegetable vendors. And while her sangrias are unique, she says the special touch comes from how natural the product is.
My special touch is that it's homemade and it's natural. In my sangria, there is absolutely no added liqueur, or, you know, there are some other individuals, or maybe even some people prefer to have some sort of liquor in it, like brandy. I don't do none of that. It's simply the wine and the fruits. The fruits infuse with the wine to give it that delectable sangria.
And she advises anyone who has a business idea to go for it, which is exactly what Shatifa Garba did over 4 years ago. At only 17 years old, she started her clothing company called Naturally Belizean. And while she has always had customers, she said her business really started booming during the pandemic.
So Naturally Belizean came about back in 2016. I was working a summer job, and at that moment I realized that I wanted something for my own and something to run. And then I realized, why not just be an entrepreneur? So that summer I saved my last paycheck, and I decided, you know what, that's time to create a business. So in 2016, the whole curly hair trend was going around. And I said, okay, since it's all natural and everyone's natural or going natural, then it's time to do something about natural hair. But at the same time, I wanted to put Belize in it. I wanted a business to do with Belize. So I said, instead of just doing something based around having natural hair, why not just have something representing us natural hair girls, but at the same time representing where you're from, who you are, and your country.
But it wasn't easy for her as a teenager to dedicate herself to her business. It required sleepless nights and tons of research and discipline. But she encourages young people to become business owners of their own.
If you are a teen and you may think, oh, you're too young to start a business, you're not too young. So if you want to start young, you have to take on a lot of responsibilities. You have to be mature about running a business, and you have to be serious. It is a challenge to start when you are young, say between 16 to 18, because at that time you have your bit of freedom. So you want to be out there a bit. But if you want a business, you have to learn how to balance out life. You have to learn how to balance out school, work, stuff like that.
She also warns that at first you may get discouraged. That's what happened to her with her first set of t-shirts. But now her business has grown with products for men and women.
Since I started with t-shirts, I have done face masks. I introduced hoodies last year. I introduced a collection for men, which were the men's shorts, and that sold out very quickly.
She recently released another line of 501 t-shirts, similar to the one she wore in the interview, as well as phone cases, pop sockets, tote bags, and next month she will be launching a children's line. Courtney Menzies, 7 News.
Sangria Mia is planning on adding new fruit options like mango, while Naturally Belizeans has new launches in store for the rest of the year. Both companies can be found on Facebook and Instagram, and also TikTok in Naturally Belizeans' case. There is some good news on the COVID front. It has been 6 days since a COVID death has been reported. Today's new cases are in the double digits, but only 13. Information Officer at the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Claudette Dacus-Norales, breaks down today's numbers.
A total of 421 samples were tested. Out of this, 13 samples have resulted positive for COVID-19. There are 129 individuals newly under investigation. There are 14 new recoveries to report. Today, we also report that 13 infected persons are hospitalized. Unfortunately, 2 of these individuals are being treated at the intensive care unit. There are no deaths to report. The cumulative report we are presenting is from March 2020, when we had our first case. The new total of active cases now stands at 193. These are those persons who have been confirmed and are within the time frame to transmit the virus. To date, 78,394 samples have been tested nationally. Out of this, 12,188 samples have resulted positive for COVID-19. A total of 313 deaths have been reported. But we are pleased to report that there are 11,682 total recoveries. The heat map shows the districts mostly affected. The greatest number of cases are seen in Cayo, Belize, and Stann Creek districts. Cayo reported 6 new cases, with Ontario responsible for 2 of those cases. Belize district reported 4 new cases, with Belize City responsible for all 4 cases. Stann Creek district reported 2 new cases, with Dangriga and Independence responsible for 1 case each. Toledo reported 1 new case. Corozal and Orange Walk districts reported no new cases.
Piracy in Belizean waters sounds like something out of the 18th century, but rest assured it's a pursuit that remains alive and well today. So much so that the Coast Guard has been charged with acting as escorts to fishermen who, at this time of the year, risk losing their valuable lobster catches and equipment to modern-day pirates. It's a story you've heard time and time again, one that sometimes ends in mystery, with fishermen disappearing into the forever unknown. Yesterday, we spoke to the Minister of State in the Ministry of Defense and Border Security, Oscar Mira, who told us how they plan to tackle piracy head-on.
We have been getting our briefing from the Commandant of the Coast Guard, and we have given him the support that he needs in terms of resources, in terms of extra fuel to ensure that he escorts and does the patrols that are needed in the area. It has been an annual occurrence, I believe, as far as I've been told, whenever the lobster season is coming to a close, and the fishermen are bringing their produce, there's this flare-up in piracy at sea. The Coast Guard is working very hard, and I was pleased that when I went to visit them, I could see the Coast Guard coming in, escorting some of the fishermen that were out at sea. It is an issue that we're going to tackle head-on. We are also working with our partners to ensure that the other stakeholders have a say in this as well. So it's not just a responsibility of the Coast Guard, but the police is also working on it, and they have been gathering a lot of information and intelligence on what is happening, and we will continue though to ensure that the Coast Guard has the resources needed and that the Coast Guard has the information and intelligence gathering capability so that we have operations that are targeted at sea.
And going back now to some additional interviews that did not make it into last night's extensive coverage of Nomination Day, we spoke with the 4 women of the UDP council slate. The PUP also has 4 women, so it's very likely that we could end up with 4 lady councillors elected to City Hall. That is more than the 3 currently elected, and it would also be the most women ever elected to a Belize City Council. Here's what the UDP women told us that they bring to the table.
I live on the south side and I see what the people go through over there every day. On the campaign trail, it became even more alarming, right? Especially now during this COVID period where you have a lot of households where the mother or the father isn't working. So it's a bit hard. I believe you heard my mayoral candidate said just a while ago that we intend to assist these families in getting jobs.
I've always been interested in the politics from 2016, at the age of 16 years old. I've always had interest in being a part of it as a young individual, not only a young individual, but a young female I am the youngest on the slate, and of course I have many plans and projects that I would like to put in place for many young people that are out here, you know.
And for me, I can say I'm an educator, you know, and so I want to bring back after school programs, bring back summer programs that the past council used to have. You know, I know it's COVID, you know, so our team is creative. We have, everybody's into technology, so I know that we will be able to create avenues to help after school programs and to have summer program for the kids too.
I've been an employee at the Belize Social Security Board for over 18 years. However, I always had a passion to serve my country. And long story short, the opportunity presented itself. I'm the type of person to seize opportunities.
It takes a leap of faith to say that, you know what, I'm getting into politics now. This is a tough time for getting into politics, apart from the fact that the UDP is not at the height of its popularity. And also people out here are really desperate right now.
Jules, Mr. Vasquez, the strongest soldier get the hardest fight.
Awesome.
And joining these young women is a grizzled veteran of the UDP. Kenny Morgan has been involved in the communication strategies of the UDP since the early 80s, and he was briefly a candidate for Pickstock in 2003. But before the election, the UDP dashed on one side in deference to a glossy candidate who ended up coming in third, a super rarity and a super embarrassment for a mass party. But that shame wasn't on Morgan, and he remained faithfully on the UDP front lines. And now that the party is recovering from its worst loss in the 21st century, they've gone back to Morgan to offer some veteran leadership to a young slave. Now that he's been nominated and they can't ask him to stand down this time, we asked him about his unexpected reappearance on the electoral scene.
You've always been a groomsman, never a groom. Explain to me, how does this feel today that you are officially entering your name as a candidate?
I don't really think it's anything special to be excited about. We've been putting in the work, and today is the day when all that is confirmed that I'll be the candidate, one of the candidates on the UDP slate. I'm very pleased and proud to make it to this point.
It could be that you all are team players and you all are the ones who will have to take one for the team, insofar as right now the UDP is on the downswing. Is it that you all are, so to speak, sacrificial lambs?
Well, the fact that the UDP has just taken a loss in the general elections is a part of the reason, a major part of my being on this team. I would never allow my team to go out on the field short-staffed.
So you've been involved in UDP politics at every level since the 80s, really. You were a lyricist, a young lyricist back in the 80s, and you've been involved in campaigns, you've worked in City Hall, you've briefly been a candidate at the general election level. Explain to me, what is your feeling this time around, based on your experience and your wisdom to know the real thing from a fooling feeling?
Well, it would be difficult, if not impossible, for me to put my finger or say exactly what the feeling is. People can tell you anything when you're campaigning out there. What it comes down to is what they do out there on election day.
You're an old sage of the streets, and you know that people and voters always operate in their own best self-interest. They don't care about your symbolism or the history they try make. What they care about is, a lot of them, how I go and get where I need to get to survive. And that programming is telling a lot of them that voting for the UDP is impractical at this time, because there's a central government which will punish any UDP.
That is your take on it. That is not the take that we have been getting from the people in general as we've been campaigning. For sure, we cannot say definitely what people feel. We talk to them, and as much as we can, we get a feel of what we believe they are coming across with. And we believe that when they speak with us, they're being genuine. No, the only way that will be found out is on election day.
I'll quote you one of your own lyrics back in the 80s, I think. You said, people want to send a message to Belmopan, but in 1984 we sent the first one. That was in the 80s. I believe that's one of your lyrics. Mm-hmm. So, exactly. You are asking them now to send a message to Belmopan. Then send a message in November 2020 to Belmopan already. They don't need to send no message to Belmopan right now.
But of course, that is what you're saying. We're not hearing that out there. In fact, most of what we're hearing is that they do want to send a message to Belmopan. People believe that they made a mistake on November 11, and if you were out there campaigning with us, you would get that sentiment overwhelmingly through all the conversations.
And while Morgan hopes that the UDP can pull off what would be a real upset in Belize City, what about the rest of the country? For a country smarting from a massive blowout in the general election 3 months ago, the party is in a dominant position in the towns and cities, holding 41 of the 67 seats and controlling local government in 6 of 9 majorities. We yesterday asked leader Patrick Faba how many of them his party can realistically expect to hold.
The UDP currently holds 41 of 67 municipal seats nationally. Prognosticators or pundits, as they might be called, would say realistically you all can't hold on to even half of that because of the way that the swing is going. Explain to me, if you had to predict 41 of 67 on March 4th, how many will you all have?
If I had to predict, we'll win all of them. We are in this to win all of them, and you're right in that we are not in the very same odds that we have been in the past when our party has been in power. But again, because this government is so unpopular so quickly.
And we know that when you're in opposition, especially with so many years away from a general election, it's hard to get fundraisers, financiers to support you because they want to support people who are in Belmopan at the level of decision making. How financially strapped is this campaign, and how much will that affect your campaign efforts nationally?
Well, first let me say that I think the position in terms of the finances does not only affect the UDP. I think that the business people in general, in fact the comments that I have heard, and I have people who tell you what's happening in the PUP as well, they will tell you that business people tell you that this is so close to the general election. A lot was spent on the general election in terms of campaign contributions. They will tell you that their businesses are hard hit by COVID. And so it's a tough time all around to find campaign financing. I will concede that it is a very difficult time financially in the political arena for our party. But we know how to make that work. And the Belizean people out there know the song and dance that happened in November. They know, for instance, that unemployment relief is not coming forward like it used to under the UDP. The pantry relief or grocery bag, as the new minister puts it, is not forthcoming in the manner in which it is. It was under the UDP, and so much has changed.
In other news that didn't make the final cut last night, we asked the Minister of Home Affairs, Karim Musa, about the letter his father penned to the U.S. President Joe Biden. The former Prime Minister and former Foreign Minister asked the President to consider removing Cuba off the list of state sponsors of terrorism. The designation was one of Donald Trump's last before leaving office. The senior Musa also spoke about the U.S.'s embargo on Cuba. Minister Karim Musa gave his views on the matter.
As you know, the former Prime Minister, has had a lot of time on his hands since he has been recovering from his stroke. But it's always good to see that he is still actively engaged, and in this particular instance, defending the country and the good people of Cuba. As you know, the former President of the United States, Donald Trump, had put Cuba on a blacklist of terrorists, calling them as terrorists. And so he was totally in order to write the new President of the United States calling for a call off of this embargo against Cuba. It's a long time coming. We're living now in a globalized day, globalized age, that there should not be this type of animosity between countries like America and Cuba.
The letter was dated February 12th. And while Musa makes appeals on behalf of an ally, here at home Belizeans are making demands for land. It's a hot-button issue that's been brewing since before the general election, with activists such as Nigel Petillo making cries like "No land, no vote" in an attempt to show Belizeans that becoming landowners should be their first priority. It's a cry that Minister of Natural Resources Cordell Hyde supported, but that was before he got into office. It is still left to be seen whether the minister would stick to his guns while in office. There has been a traveling land clinic that went to Dangriga, and next is Cayo. Yesterday, first term area rep Alex Balona gave us time and place for the one in his town. He also shared a bit around about the need for land that is in his own community.
A lot of young people come in and say, Mr. Balona, I don't care when, but I just need a piece of land. I want to build my home. So jobs and land are the biggest needs that we have seen here, especially in Santa Elena.
We hear that the Minister of Natural Resources, Cordell Hyde, is on his way out here at some point next few weeks to conduct land clinics. Can you tell us anything about that?
Like I said earlier, over the last 6 weeks, the biggest need is land. So I have spoken with the Honorable Minister, and he has agreed to be here this Friday at the Santa Elena Sporting Complex so that we can have enough space and so we can have all the people in Cayo Central, those who need land and those who have never had a piece of land in their name can come. And also those who have been having issues with their land documentation can come and complete the process.
Friday at what time?
Between 9 and 3. So we'll be right there at the Santa Elena Sporting Complex.
Again, the minister's land clinic will be held on Friday, February 19th from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Santa Elena Sports Complex. And keeping it out west, at the top of the news, we told you about a shallow grave found in a farm off the Hummingbird Highway just outside Belmopan. We count 3 murders in Belmopan since January, and we asked the area rep about the changing times in the once peaceful city and what, if anything, he intends to do about it.
I am presently in contact with the police department to get the details of the body that was found by Pollock Farm. Yes, I have been very concerned about the increase of crime in Belmopan. I mean, Belmopan used to be one of the safest places in Belize, you know, where you can go and left your door open and nobody was going to fool with your house. But things are changing, and I did have a meeting with the Commissioner of Police and his senior officers, and we are coming up with a strategy to ensure that we fight crime in Belmopan. We're not going to tolerate criminals to take over the peacefulness of Belmopan. We are working together to ensure, and I have given them my commitment that I will do whatever is possible to lobby to ensure that they get the resources that are needed to ensure that they can effectively patrol Belmopan. It is indeed alarming when we get to see an increase in crime when we're not used to it, you know. So if there is one violent crime in Belmopan, you know, we get alarmed.
And that's all we have for you for tonight. Thanks for watching with Your News. I'm Indira Craig. Remember that. To wash your hands, to wear a mask at all times in public, and to keep your social distance. The curfew starts at 10 p.m. tonight, so please stay inside. Have a great night, and make sure to join me back here tomorrow at 6.